Okay, I want to introduce to you two people who come out of Krill. And Ellie Hakala, who is from the city of Fremont and is a graduate of our Leadership Academy, and Ramiro Montoya, who was a resident of Hayward, but now is in Oakland, but is also a graduate of the Academy. And they're going to share with us. I'm going to ask them to start by just telling you how they ended up at Krill, and then how they ended up at the Academy. Would that be all right? Ellie, why don't we... Okay, and it's on.
Okay. Again, my name is Ellie Hakala, and you got to hear one of my stories. I came to, as an older person, as you noticed, the gray hair. I've gotten that legitimately by being over 50. And I came to my disability late in life. I had a accident when I was 40 that caused deterioration, which gave me severe arthritis in my legs. And so I used to walk. Picture yourself what you see a gorilla walking when they try to walk upright. That's what I looked like when I walked before I got my bionic knees. And so when you see an older lady walking, you know, using a walking cane, not being the picture that people expect to see in a person, I'm sure that was a part of the difficulty, because I've been looking for full-time paid employment for over 10 years. I have been underemployed since 2003. And as I got involved with the Department of Rehab, trying to work through them, and I got a suggestion to try Krill. And when I contacted Krill, they set me up with Jessica Lehman, and she got me involved with Dan. I thought, oh, good, I'm going to have somebody who's going to help advocate to help me find permanent, full-time paid employment. Not. I found out that Dan was an advocacy group. I'm thinking, oh, they're going to find me a job. I'm still, 10, 11 years later, still looking for full-time paid employment. Krill has not helped me in that. But they helped me find a voice for people of disabilities and to advocate for others in my community that oftentimes sit in their homes and don't realize that they have a voice in how they live and what they need. And through my involvement with Dan, I first went to Disability Capital Action Day somewhere way back in the first time. And that was really exciting because we got to go into the Capitol, meet our legislators, and be heard. And I've been there many times since. I'm also involved with, I'm sorry, I'm trying to do this. My city's planning. I've talked to housing in Fremont, where I live, and we've been able to help Fremont take a step forward toward universal design to help incorporate it into at least a number of developments that are coming up to make them aware that this needs to be addressed. And we've even helped our city be aware of special needs for lengthening the street signals and putting in stop signs where people are driving and in areas where people are not able to walk as fast as they're expecting. And then so, you know, I've just been doing this advocacy for a while. And then
the Academy, 2 years ago.
2 years ago, I was invited to join the first Leadership Academy in Fremont that was being held there. And I said, oh, that sounds cool. So I went. I've always been a very outspoken person, and I was a Girl Scout leader for 12 years with my child, and even before I had children and after my daughter graduated, I've worked with Scouts, so I've had leadership aspect in that. I've worked on committees, as a team member and creating events, where I've been a team member and a solo participant. So I kind of had some of that leadership stuff going on. But then to sit down and be explained Robert's Rule of Order and the parliamentary procedure, to have it explained and learn the different styles that everybody has as far as communication, it would help me be able to find a voice. And personally, I've been looking for all my life is communication, to improve my communication. My church offers a conflict resolution class at least once or twice a year, because when people find anger in something somebody did, if you don't speak up right away, it can destroy things. And we don't want to destroy the relationships within our church. I also was invited earlier this year through our resource center in Fremont to take a world-class communication class. And that was one of the things that talked about the different styles of communication. When I was a Girl Scout leader, we did diversity training. This is like 25 years ago, because they noticed the change of the environment and the peoples within the Bay Area, and they didn't mandatory say it, but they offered it to those who wanted to step up and learn about the diversity of the way different cultures communicate, and well as to be aware. Because like when I was doing troop organizations, I realized it was the Asian men who came to the meetings, and they were the ones that spoke for the family. So I had to speak to the men, even though Girl Scouts is all female-based. And then the different other aspects. It was nice hearing what Michael said, because he gave me some lessons, too, that I need to take into my life. And then after my leadership, I was the Leadership Academy, I was less afraid to speak up. And then to go into the legislators' offices, the state and federal senators and Congress people, to be able, with no fear, to speak with them, because it helped me learn to focus and speak succinctly on what I need or we need as a group, and what we need to convey, the thoughts. And then a couple years ago, I was asked to be on the advisory committee for the Alameda County ADRC, that's Aging and Disability Resources Connection. For those that don't know, it's a coalition of organizations that kind of all fit the same thing that a lot of independent living centers do, and give services within the community. And I was really honored to be able to be on that committee, and I have been a member ever since. And then to be invited here to speak to all of you, it really honored me in the fact that my leadership and my openness to share has been recognized and honored. And I think I'm done.
Good. And Ramiro. Thank you, Ellie. And Ramiro, again, the same two questions. How did you end up at Krill? And then how did you come to the Community Leadership Academy?
Hello, everybody. My name is Ramiro Montoya. I'm not the kind of person that you put tape, signs will come out. So I'm not really a speaker, but I will improvise. In 2001, I had cancer, and then I had radiation, and then I became really weak. And I have an invisible disability, so they call me a miracle man, the doctors, because I survived many things, arrhythmia once. And then, so when I got out of the hospital, I went to Hayward, and an agency or a couple of agencies sent me a couple of people to take care of me. And they didn't have no class, didn't know how to cook, no knowledge of human relations or charity for a person sick. So I went, as soon as I started learning to walk again, I walked to Krill and on Hayward on A Street, and I met Jessica Lange, and it was my beginning of a school as an activist, and now I'm like a pain for a lot of people. So, and then in 2006, because of my experience with the in-home supportive services I got involved with the Public Authority Advisory Board for In-Home Supportive Services for 6 years. And I remember Arnold Schwarzenegger as a governor, he wanted to terminate the in-home supportive service program. So, and it started going with the union and the Public Authority to Sacramento and talk to politicians. And I learned all that through Krill. And then I remember then in Berkeley, this was from 2006 to 2012, maximum term 6 years. Then, I don't know, you heard about Arneyville from Arnold Schwarzenegger. We made for 1 month people with disabilities, all kinds of disabilities and wheelchairs. We park in the middle of an avenue, Adeline Street, and we called that Arneyville. We asked permission from the city council members, the mayor, and the police. So for 1 month, and we have signs there and all that. There's somebody on a sculpture made a statue resembling Arnold Schwarzenegger cutting everything. And so this was important because we needed to save the program for people with low income, and then you can get the person you want, you feel confident with, you can be a relative, and the state pays for that. So I think we succeed in saving the program because then now you change the name to Cuido, which I'm involved, Communities United in Defense of Olmsted, which the Supreme Court decision in June 1999 that says that people with disabilities should be taken care of in their homes with dignity and respect instead of being sent to nursing homes. So, and then I got involved with, so that's changed the name Arneyville to Cuido. And so we fight all the time for the rights of people with disabilities. And we go to federal buildings and, you know, etc. And then now I'm getting involved with East Bay Housing Organization as a volunteer to learn about, you know, there is a housing crisis and we need more affordable housing. And this is not a commercial, but I'm gonna give the each table one flyer, which is the repercussion of the impact fee in housing. And then if anybody wants to sign a petition, you know, appreciate that. So this is to ask developers to get, provide money for affordable housing. And then, so now I'm also a volunteer with Eden Housing Information Referral. I want to learn more. So that's basically...
How did you get to the academy?
Because I was already in Krill and got involved, and it was really, I learned a lot. You know, it taught me a lot because I was just like from my heart, I went there and talked to people and told them the story and all that. And yeah, one part of my story was that my in-home supportive services provider married me. So, you know, that's some of the story that I gave to the politicians in Sacramento, and you know, and yeah, I still fight for them to have better salary, like they could have sick leave, vacation, you know, because I got involved with domestic workers, and the governor signed that too about you know, fair pay. And yeah, so basically I was lucky to be in Krill when they started the academy, so I graduated in the first
First
class,
grade,
and I learned a lot. I continue to learn, and it's an honor to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. I want to ask the group of us here, do you have any questions that you'd want to ask Ellie or Ramiro about the Academy and their experience or advocacy? Yes. Is it Mark?
It is. It is, Mark. I want to know from Ellie more about how Fremont got that universal design ordinance passed, because that's in our plan to get some of the communities down in Silicon Valley, which is right next door, to start passing those.
Well, in Fremont, we've always, Fremont City Council has been fairly progressive in some respects of that. But the universal design, unfortunately, it wasn't what we absolutely wanted, but we got them to address it and to write it into legislation, a modified universal design, but because of Krill and other agencies, we've even had a couple of, I want to say, apartment complexes that were created totally universal design, and we are able to present that to show how when you initiate universal design right into the beginning of the construction process, it costs maybe $12 more, you know. It's not like it be the thousands and thousands of dollars after you have to change it later on. And so they were willing to accept that aspect. And unfortunately, it's modified. I think Dublin had already had something in place. And so they were following Dublin's design when they were seeing how effective that was within their city limits. Did that answer your question?
Pretty much. I just was wondering what the process was like to actually get it through council. Did you have like a particular council member who carried it for you?
We just got involved with the housing authority when they had meetings. And we've been, to have somebody at most of the housing authority meetings to make sure your face is known and they know what you're going to ask or promote when you're there, and to have somebody present at that time.
I know in Dublin, and Sheri may know more, there was just consistent presence at the various meetings of the Housing Commission and then the City Council. I mean, and it wasn't fast, but it was a consistent presence that eventually affected some change. And I think Sheri would know more.
Yes, absolutely, Michael and Ellie. It's a process, but like everything else we've been talking about in the last 2 days, a lot of it has to do with relationship building. And so you need to find an ally. Talked about the word ally too, an ally on the city council who will listen to you and for you to work with them on the importance of a UD ordinance. Also, it's helpful to have some precedents. So now, certainly in Alameda County, we have a few cities that have taken up and have passed a universal design ordinance. They're not all exactly the same. There are, as Ellie mentioned, some tweaks and compromises sometimes that you have to consider, but there are also some cities across the United States that have been able to get their communities to pass such an ordinance. But it's then, taking all those principles, the materials, the information, the importance, the stories, bringing the consumers who have benefited from having accessible housing units, being able to age in place too. We all know that there's plenty of senior complexes that were built in the 70s and 80s that were not accessible from the get-go, and a lot of people ended up having to leave those complexes because there were steps now into their apartments that they couldn't navigate. So as Ellie mentioned, it's a lot less expensive to build those zero-step entries and to make sure that you've got your wider doorways in the interior of the home, and grab bars that can be installed easily on bathroom shower stalls and tubs, all of those kinds of basic kinds of principles to be from the get-go. And so it's working with City Council and the Housing Commission and the Public Services Department, and across the board, and talking to them continuously about that. And as also Michael mentioned, is going to those meetings regularly and bringing it up.
Right. And also with the affordable housing builders, I know we worked, as Krill did, very much with, at that time it was called AHA, now it's called SAHA, they're Affordable Housing Associates here in the Bay Area, to develop the design for the Carmen Avenue apartments in Livermore, which every apartment there is accessible. I mean, it's wonderful, and people didn't realize it could be so easy, but it's that process. You need to start at the ground floor, So. Anyone else?
Can I say something?
Yes.
I forgot to say that I had a good experience in 2008. There was an organization called BOCA in Berkeley Organizing Congregations for Action. There's like 17, 18 different religions that use their faith for social justice. So it was a learning process, and I became a U.S. citizen just to vote after 30-something years in this country. Came from South America, Colombia, and I decided this country is famous for racism, for being racist. So I say, well, this is my opportunity to vote for a black guy. And I voted for President Obama. And then they took me to, this is part of PICO, People Integrating Community to Organizing. It's a national organization. And they also have some part in Africa, and Honduras and Central America. And they took me by airplane to go and advocate for health reform. And it was nice, first time to go to Washington and talk to the senators, congresspeople, their assistants, bring the message. And then the next year, we went by bus with students and people in the community and in Boca, and for 5 days we traveled to Washington by bus, only stop in Denver. And every city we stopped, we went to different church, and people told their stories. I remember in one of those, a person from Belgium say, my children cannot go to university because I don't have a social security, And then, when we got there, it was nice because it was a nice satisfaction, because the day we went for immigration, like 5,000 people from all around the country for immigration reform, President Obama came out of the balcony and announced the health reform pass. And before I used to work, but I was always looking for jobs that have health benefits, because I started my disability in 1991. And so always looking for jobs that offer health, insurance. And then, so that was incredible when, going there, and I contributed to something, success like health reform. And that's all I wanted to add.
Good. Daniel.
Hi. I'm really curious as to what one thing that you pulled away from Dan, that the training program, the academy, that really kind of sung to you and gave you power to do some of the things that you accomplished. What was something that said, okay, it clicks, or I'm going to use that thing I learned? What was something that was really important to you?
Well, for myself, I think just the whole class itself, just being able to, learn the structure of Robert's Rules of Order, so going into meetings that you're going to play the game. That is how these boards are run, the parliamentary procedure. Because I kind of had some of that going in, but it gave me a full vision of that, and how within that you can still find your voice, and that you just can't ramble on and be able to, have to get your thought process in a row so you can speak succinctly and to the point and address the issue that's at hand and make sure it relates to what your needs are, and that there are different styles of people, and to be able to work with those styles, because everybody is different, everybody is an individual, and to respect that aspect instead of downplaying it, and then being able to stand up and speak your mind to those that are there and with you. Thank you.
Yeah, well, Disability Action Network, I'm part of with GRIL. It's been an experience because I've been able to go to many events, and I've been learning a lot. And every time I go to, one of those conferences and all that, and GRIL also gave me a grant to go to Sacramento the last 2 years for a conference of Transform organization. I don't know if you're familiar. Transform. They want affordable housing close to public transportation, and green and more bicycles. And so that's another victory for me, being part of Dan. And, that I was able to go there, pay hotel and transportation.
Yeah.
So.
I think what both Ellie and Ramiro are talking about is to realize the Academy was simply one more thing in a real lifelong conversion to advocacy, because it isn't in itself. It's their advocates who came in because they wanted to learn to do it better, and they have continued to do that. But I also hope you heard a certain word they both used. They were invited to the Academy, because it's that relationship again of somebody recognizing gifts in them and calling them out that was very, very important. Yes,
Michael,
Sheri.
there's something that I learned also that is very practical, is the power is in the relations. So, when you open relations with politicians, or like Sheri say, your city officials, and it makes a difference. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Jared?
Good point about the different communication styles. Does the Leadership Academy address this and help the individuals to clarify their thoughts?
For myself, absolutely, because it makes you slow down and form your thoughts. Get your thoughts in a row, or get all your ducks in a row, as I want to say. Because if you just go rambling on and you're not keeping the point that you're trying to make in mind and do it within... If you've ever attended a council meeting, you have 2 to 3 minutes to speak, and then they're going to cut that microphone off. So if you can't say what you need to say to do the advocacy within that 2 to 3 minutes and make it heard and make it poignant, then your being there might not be such a good thing. So that's one of the things that it helped me to make sure, to write it down, although I've learned to speak in 3-minute segments pretty much for the last few years. But it does help you form your thoughts and get them clear and concise.
And part of that, Jared, is we practice doing that. And part of it is, like, for example, when investigating what committees you can apply for, we assign, you pick which committees you want to examine in the county, and then you have to come back and present those committees in a succinct way to the group, so that people can make decisions about whether or not that's a group they might want to be interested in joining. I thank you so much, but I especially thank Ellie and Ramiro for being with us and sharing their stories with us so much. They are a great asset to the disability community and to Krill, so, you know. And you can pick their brains if you want to afterwards, you know. Go right ahead.
Can I say something else? I forgot that now I have a petition also for a crosswalk. But when I moved from Hayward to Oakland because there was no affordable housing in Hayward, unfortunately. So I'm in Oakland, but there is a 3-day street cleaning. It shows corruption, 3-day street cleaning, not even in Hollywood. And then so a stop sign or, you know, a crosswalk, anything. So I've been going to City Hall and now they know me. I've been speaking up there. And I had the courage because thanks to the teachings of...
He doesn't stop, does he? That's good. All right, thank you.